Today's vocal training fundamental lesson is about developing self-awareness of the internal sensations of sound making while you're doing your vocal training. I actually have a shorter way to say that, but I forget at the moment. So what I'm talking about is we're all very familiar with hearing ourselves. And if we have a mirror in front of us, or if we're in front of a voice coach, they can hear us and they can see us. And so that's the input they receive that they can then help evaluate us and teach us different adjustments or help us make adjustments to correct any mistakes we might be making. And so we do the same thing at home when we're training. We certainly hear ourselves. And if we're singing in front of a mirror or training in front of a mirror, then we can see ourselves as well. But the skill that I'm trying to develop and have developed myself, that it's very useful. And again, I'm all about accelerating the improvements, accelerating how quickly my voice can grow and develop, because it is a lot of hard work and it takes time. So if I can make it happen faster, great. I just have more fun singing sooner. And the key is to develop an internal kinesthetic, or the feeling of these dozen or so moving parts within the instrument when they're in different positions. Now, those positions, some might be incorrect, or they might be different versions of correct, right? So to give you an example, you may have an issue with your larynx coming up too high. And so you may hear a quality of the sound that's off, but you don't quite yet have the ability to be aware of the feeling. For me, it's always about, you'll hear me say the false vocal folds over and over again. They constrict. As we go higher up in pitch, almost everybody has this problem, but some of us have it worse than others. And this is by far my worst problem, is that those false vocal folds begin to slam shut. The true folds can't vibrate properly. You don't want them wide open all the time. You just want them somewhere between neutral and wide open. But you don't want them squished and pressed together unless you're doing some kind of effect for a moment, right? So I always had this kind of broad feeling, or the sound, I could hear the sound of that feeling of suffocation or pressure buildup, or just the sound being really squeezed and tight. But I didn't develop the specific feeling of the sensation of the false folds closing for quite some time. And now I do feel that. And so when we learn to feel things like whether the soft palate is up in its fully raised position, there's a feeling of that. If the false vocal folds are fully retracted, there's a feeling of that. When we're got this really nice downward movement for the muscles on our pelvic floor, these muscles of elimination that need to be kind of pushing down. When we learn to feel that internally, we become much better at diagnosing problems. First of all, we've got to know we have a problem, we have to be aware of it. And we can be aware of it by the sound, but it's even better to be aware of it by feeling. In fact, pitch. So a lot of people are very concerned, myself included, about singing with accurate pitch. Well, accurate pitch not only has a sound to it, it has a feeling to it. You can feel the pitch in the resonation as it comes up in your face and head, and you can match the feeling with, say, the sound you're hearing either on the piano if you're training to piano scales, or if you're singing to a song or a karaoke track. You can feel when the pitch is accurate as easily as you can hear whether the pitch is accurate. So just to wrap it up, one of the things I'm trying to do at Vocal Nebula and in my own life, in my own training, is I want to teach you to become your own coach. That doesn't mean that you don't have to have private lessons, but a lot of people, I don't live near a coach now, and a lot of people either don't live near a good coach or they can't afford private lessons. And it helps, even if you have a coach, to become as close to being your own coach as you can. And the one thing you can do that a vocal coach can never do is feel what's happening inside of you. So a coach can hear you, they can see you, but they can't feel what you're feeling. And that is the most important part, is feeling these different instruments, how they move, how they can get jammed up or blocked up, how they can get lazy when they need to be active. And you learn to feel that, you learn to diagnose it, you learn the exercises that you can use to train it to move properly. And that's the unfolding of vocal training and vocal development. And that is today's lesson. Okay, so I hope you understood that, and leave comments or questions below, and have a great day.